I'm here to make a very positive case for the Union. My message is that Scotland walks taller, shouts louder as part of the United Kingdom. I'm here to say that top international businesses like the one we're in here in Glasgow, find Scotland a great home, in part because it is part of the United Kingdom. And I think both Scotland and the rest of the UK have so much to do and gain working together over the many years ahead.
We hear the Director General of CBI talking about the potential uncertainty around the independence referendum. That's echoing something you've said in the past. But Alex Salmond's response to that is, look, the real uncertainty for business anywhere in these islands is your economic policy and the fact it isn't working.
Well, the first thing I'd say is when it comes to the independence referendum, there's a deal to be done. Let's get on and deal it. Let's have that deal. Let's have that referendum in the back end of 2014, as Alex Salmond says he wants. Let's make it a single question, a fair, legal and decisive referendum that resolves the uncertainty that the head of the UK CBI is talking about in Glasgow today. And that enables Scotland and the rest of the UK to move on. And when it comes to the economy, I would argue, look at how 85,000 jobs in the private sector have been created in Scotland over the last couple of years. Look at how a third of all the manufacturing jobs in the whole UK have been created in Scotland recently, that Scotland benefits from being part of a strong United Kingdom, and a United Kingdom that around the world is seen to have a credible economic policy.
And Alex Salmond would say the reason Scotland has outperformed other parts of the United Kingdom is because you have a separate Scottish government, and he would therefore advocate that you change tack economically. John Swinney, the Finance Secretary, has asked for £5 billion he can spend on capital projects, and you say no. Isn't it time to change plan?
Well, Alex Salmond has had over £1 billion extra in the last couple of years against the spending plans I announced in 2010. And I think Alex Salmond, if he had better things to spend that money on, should have spent the money on that. All of us as a country have to understand we have debts, enormous debts, which we have to pay off. But even with that, we're investing in the big infrastructure that Scotland and the UK needs. And today, we have published an Act of Parliament, a bill in the Westminster Parliament, that will enable the British government to underwrite, to guarantee big investment in the infrastructure of the future. And we can do that because of the very, very credible sovereign rating and low interest rates that the United Kingdom has.
So which big infrastructure projects are we going to get here in Scotland?
Well, that is up to the Scottish Government to talk to the Westminster Government
about. There will be more money available.
Absolutely, there is guarantees available. We can use the UK's good name and good reputation, our ability to borrow money at ultra low interest rates to help the entire UK economy.
John Swinney wants £5 billion. How much are you going to give him?
Well, as I say, we are able to guarantee investment in Scotland and infrastructure investment, like in the rest of the United Kingdom, through the Act of Parliament we're publishing today. I think it is a perfect example of how the UK pulls together and is better together. And, frankly, I think there are a lot of questions that John Swinney, Alex Salmond have not been able to answer about the economic policies of an independent Scotland. Why would interest rates not go up? How on earth could the Scottish government be able to issue the kind of guarantees that a UK government can? On the currency, there are basic questions which Alex Salmond cannot answer about monetary union with the rest of the United Kingdom should Scotland become independent. Now, if you can't answer basic questions about Scotland's currency, then I think the Scottish people are entitled to ask some basic questions of the path he's leading Scotland down.
Do you think an independent Scotland is sustainable then, given the questions you're asking for answers from?
I think the question is, would Scotland be better off independent? My argument is no. I think Scotland would not be as prosperous on its own. And I think Alex Salmond, before he takes Scotland down this path, has to answer basic questions about how monetary policy would operate, how the pound would operate. He now, of course, because I guess the Scottish people are concerned about joining the euro, now says he would join the pound sterling area. But surely one of the lessons of the euro crisis is that those countries in the euro are having to integrate their economic policies, not pull their economic policies apart. And why wouldn't that apply to pound sterling? These are basic questions which someone like the First Minister, who's advocating such a dramatic change in Scotland's constitutional position, has got to be able to answer. And frankly, I've heard no credible answers from him all year.
Lots of people will be asking questions about where you're going to find growth in the future. The OECD slashing forecasts today. That is incredibly concerning for anyone who looks at the UK economy. What are you going to do in reaction to what is a very gloomy outlook?
Well, it is a very difficult economic position, and it is brought about by the deep-seated problems in the UK economy, the debts that were built up, and of course, having to pay those debts off and make sure this country is more competitive than it was. And it's not made any easier by the crisis on our doorstep in the countries we export to in Europe and elsewhere. So, of course, we have a very difficult economic situation. I think people understand that sometimes better than the political classes. But what I would say is that Britain is becoming a better place to do business. Companies like this in Glasgow are finding this a more competitive place to sell around the world. And only this week we discovered that Britain had re-entered the top 10 countries in the world as a place to do business. That is an amazing achievement for Britain, that we're back in the top 10 most competitive countries in the world, not judged by anyone in Britain, but judged from abroad.
Chancellor, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Now, the Justice Secretary